high volume, preferably in a residential area.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
1, 2, 3. Lovely. Okay, good evening everyone. It's Thursday night, it's 8 p.m. and it's our first show of 2022. You are welcome to the Maastricht edition here on Facebook Live. I am your co-host Tracey, and together with the lovely Joe, we'll be bringing you our regular segment and the usual fun and games. Next to that, we'll also be feeling the Zen, and we will be joined by the lovely Eloisa from Eloisa Yoga. Stay tuned and Namaste, Joe.
Namaste, Tracey. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Maastricht edition and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
So, how was it, Tracey? You've survived Christmas?
I've made it. I've come out the other side.
Well done. Well, was it as exciting and thrilling as you thought it would be?
Do you know what? It actually went quite well, to be honest with you. Yeah, we actually had a very lovely Christmas. It was a little bit more low-key than previous years, I think, but we did manage to eat very well. We had quite a lot of bubbles, a lot of good wines along the way, caught up on a lot of television, a lot of reading, got a bit of walking in. So actually the week off passed super quickly, but it was all very nice indeed. So no complaints on this side. How about you?
Yeah, pretty much the same, I think, really. I mean, I didn't have any expectations at all.
Oh, always good.
Which, yes, sets you up rather well. But
yes,
I think for like everybody else in the country, it was a quiet affair, but the weather wasn't too bad, and we did manage to get out for a walk or two, and it just seemed to pass by, and you get to watch a couple of good films on the TV, and the next thing you know, it's New Year. Now, I have to say, though, when it comes to New Year, considering there was a firework ban in the country, you wouldn't have noticed.
Oh, I know. I was really getting quite annoyed because earlier in the day on the 31st, they had begun in Maastricht with some fireworks, just kind of random bangs that were kind of going off around the street. And you'd look out and that's in front of my house, but it wasn't. It was from miles away. And then at midnight, it wasn't too dramatic like previous years, I must say, but there was certainly some noise, and there were definitely fireworks. But in the past, we've often had it when we stood outside, there'd be like almost smoke in the air and a smell of burning, but that wasn't there this time. And very happily, there wasn't a mass exodus of poor birdies who were enjoying their sleep.
Right.
So that was already good. But indeed, further afield over by the bridge and the river, there was indeed some fireworks displays going on. So, but okay.
And we do have to actually mention those lovely gloves that you've got on there, because I'm having a bit of a flashback to the 80s.
I know. I tell you, dear, it's all coming around again. You know, if you hang on to fashions long enough, they'll come back into style. Well, these were a little gift from Father Christmas. So these are fingerless mittens. So the idea is so that they're knitted and they come down the wrist a little bit further, and they've got kind of gaps between the fingers so you can really spread around, and a little thumb finger. I love them. I think they're very stylish, you know. Yes, they're so cute and cuddly.
They are very nice, and I'll be happy to have a pair of those and some leg warmers, and then it'll be definitely straight back to 1985.
You laugh, my dear, but leg warmers are back in.
Are they?
Yeah, you check any of the fashion sites now. It's watch out.
Of course, yes, I do that regularly. I don't know how I missed it.
Fashionista Joe. 25.
Yes. I am queen of CNA, and that's about it, I think. So, but I'll pop in and see if they've got their finger on the pulse of European fashion.
Let us know.
So for our lovely listeners out there, we've got Irene in the house. Adina's with us. Hello, ladies. Happy New Year. Thank you for joining us. We're going to be talking about New Year's resolutions, of course, because it's the first week of January, and this is where we all start doing those things that we've kind of been putting off for several months, coming towards the end of the year, usually to do with eating healthier or exercise, that kind of thing. So what are your New Year's resolutions? Please do let us know. We would love to hear them. Tracey, have you made any?
Not particularly. I'm not a big fan of the New Year's resolutions. I believe if you want to make a change in your life, you can do that any day of the year. You shouldn't wait till January 1st.
Oh, get you.
There you go. But that said, I do have a plan in place to try and read a little bit more because I have bookcases, plural, full of books that I haven't read yet. I also want to do a little bit more yoga this year. So unfortunately, with the current lockdown, it's a little bit tricky. But my favorite yoga studio here in Maastricht, Ashtanga Yoga, where I go myself. There's many other great yoga places available, of course, but this is my particular favorite. And they're currently doing online classes. But when the studio reopens, hopefully soon, I look forward to getting back on the mat. And I think those are probably two of the main ones. Also trying to get out a little bit more, get out of the house a little bit more. Just, go out, walk in a forest, be around trees, that kind of thing. And I do have my eye on doing a spot of more gardening this year.
Well, that's a good idea, weather permitting.
Yes, indeed. A bit cold right now.
Well, I just thought I would run through some New Year's resolutions because we have the standard ones, of course. The top 10 New Year's resolutions of 2022 from Country Living magazine, and it's a pretty boring list, I have to say. We've got lose weight, eating healthier, get fitter, take more exercise, spend more time with family and friends, sort out finances, take up a new hobby, look for a new job. I mean, these are all pretty standard, aren't they? So I thought, well, we'll skip those, and I see if I can find some interesting ones. And I have got some other alternative ones here that I thought we might have a look at. Learn a decent party trick.
Oh, that's a good one.
That's what I thought. Now, there isn't one flip side to this, of course. We're not having parties at the moment, but that means you have time to learn a party trick as and when we do get back to parties. Excuse
me, indeed. And you can practice it, for example, online before you do it in real life, as it were. Interesting.
That's what I thought. Another one was break a record. Now, of course, the Guinness Book of World Records, very, very famous publication worldwide, full of people who break the most ridiculous, bizarre records, of course. So this is encouraging you to think of something maybe a little bit different and have a go at breaking the record.
Good Lord, well, the mind boggles. Yeah, very interesting though. A little bit different than your usual one, for sure.
Now, this one I quite like. Try a new food each week.
That's quite a good one. A lot of people are also doing, I'm trying to be a vegan for this year or a vegan for this month and that kind of thing. That's a nice one. The thing is, does that mean ordering in every week or cooking up a cuisine yourself?
I mean, we are kind of limited at the moment as to how we're going to eat.
This is the thing. I mean, you can nip by your local supermarket and stock up, but maybe you're not very experienced in cooking, I don't know, food from Nepal or something a bit more exotic like that. But a nice idea for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I tell you who else has got some nice ideas for us. The lovely Christina from Maastrichter.com. She has got some ideas for what we could actually be getting up to around town. So let's have a look at what Christina's got for us. The first one of 2022.
Hurrah.
Happy New Year from me and Mycroft. He looks grumpy, but inside he's very excited for you. If your New Year's intention is to move more and feel a bit more energized, and you're out of luck because the gyms are closed, check out Max Sport Maastricht on the Brusselsstraat. They are doing online classes, but also some outdoor classes for small groups. They have a whole outdoor gym and they run a few classes. I think you need to call them to find out the arrangements, but that can be a nice one as long as it doesn't get too cold. Okay, the birds are having a bit of a party outside. I'm glad someone is. I have a cheat for you. There is an app called ClassPass. How it usually works is you pay an amount each month and you get credits to use at different classes. It's not available in Maastricht. However, because we're in lockdown, the online classes around the country are free. So if you want someone else to be accountable for you through the screen, there's classes in Amsterdam, Rotterdam, and currently it's 1 month free use of the app. So you can do some workouts with some other people instructing you completely free for a month. That's my cheat. I found some music. Yeah. The Rotterdam Philharmonisch Orchestra. They have a concert Friday the 7th, 8:15 online. It's completely free, and they ask if you feel able to offer a donation, which I recommend because we want these orchestras and arts establishments to be there when we come out of lockdown. So the concert is musical and opera. They have clips from Les Miserables, The Greatest Showman, Candide, Turandot, La Bohème. It should be a very nice concert and a real mix for people who know their musicals and know their operas, to people who are just taking a step in that direction. I'm sure there will be a lot of music that you have heard and you didn't even realize where it came from. If you suddenly have a lot of free time and you want to use it to learn or improve your Dutch course in Maastricht have online courses at the moment. So they still have places on their A1, that's the very beginner's course, which start Monday the 10th. You can sign up online. They're an established school. You pay a fee, obviously, but you get the qualification at the end. I did 2 courses with them and I was very happy, especially being online, so you can do it anywhere. That was very convenient for me. As we're talking about languages, if you want to have some conversations in French online, there's something called Café Français, and it's on the 12th of January at 19:45, completely free. You just log in and you can have some lovely conversations in French. Food. I love food. There is a cafe I want to draw your attention to. It's called Faren. It's on the Frankenstraat. They are offering a takeaway service at the moment. You have to order via email, I think the day before, and you collect. It's so fresh and so delicious. It's Persian. Very unusual. I hadn't tried Persian before and I'm very glad I did. They have this delicious lentil and yogurt soup. They have like a Persian platter, which is amazing and such great value because you get so much food for your money. I think we shared a platter for 2 between 3 people and we were completely full. Good for vegetarians, also very good for meat eaters. You won't be disappointed. Check them out if you're fed up of cooking and you want a change, but something that is still quite healthy and very good quality. That's all really. I'll keep looking for things, keep checking out Maastricht because there's some events and things updated constantly on there. I'm just picking up some bits to try and give you some things to do during this time. Or maybe you're very busy and you don't need things to do, but you can take advantage of my food suggestions also. Okay, bye.
Oh, thank you, Christina. All the way from, I think she's back from Bulgaria. I know she was in Bulgaria over Christmas with her boyfriend's family. And she recently, I think she's just come back from Bulgaria. So yes, she managed to fit in a little video for us when she got back, which is lovely. On behalf of Maastrichter.com.
Lovely.
Now, you said to me, Tracey, that you've been reading some books over Christmas. What did you read?
Well, yes, I have been reading some books and I also received additional books as gifts. So
nice.
I know, yeah, it's a kind of a bittersweet situation because I do love reading and I love getting the books, but then I've just got more books added up on a pile of books that I still have yet to read anyway. But in any case, I read 2 books over the Christmas period. One of them is from Nikki French, one of these fiction novels, and it was book number 8 in the Frida Klein series. I'm not sure if people have been following those. It's called Day of the Dead, so that was very nice. I quite like these Nikki French books, and the Frida Klein series is particularly interesting. And then I went completely the opposite and went back to a really old school book, sort of like kind of Agatha Christie kind of old things, and it's called The Santa Claus Murder by Mavis Doriel Hay, and it's written back like in the 1950s. It's one of these classic British crime thriller books that you can buy. So it's really the way, even the style of writing is really bizarre, and it's very old school, but really nice. Something quite different. And then one of the books that I actually received from Little Tubs over Christmas, very clever pussycat. He was able to save his pennies and buy Dave and myself a book. I received from Little Tubbs The Cat Who Saved Books by, and bear with me, Sosuke Natsukawa. So this is a Japanese writer. Obviously, it's been translated into English, luckily. I did do a Japanese language course recently, but I don't think I've graduated enough to start reading a novel. But some very nice things, but so many books and things to get through. How about you? Did you find time to read anything?
Well, I did start one book actually. I decided to delve into the Horrible Histories series of books. Nice. So for those of you who are maybe not familiar with this series of books, these have actually been published, and I'm not embarrassed to say it, they are for kids. But they have been written in such a way that makes it very engaging to learn about history. And the series covers various different periods. At the moment, I'm reading The Groovy Greeks. Ooh. So yes, I'm learning about all the gods and such like it. Yes, and it really is fun. It's really interesting, and for me, I think because it's easily written and it's like sound bites, if you like. I find it easier to take in because over Christmas all I want to do is just sort of like switch off really. So it's I find it a very good read. But yeah, they've got they do the Tudors, they do the Incas, the Egyptians. I mean everybody, and I find them good fun. So I'm working my way through the Groovy Greeks at the moment. Now, of course, any of the books that we mentioned here, Tracy, I suspect if you wanted you could probably get them at the English Bookstore in Maastricht.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that, absolutely. And if you bear with me 1 second, actually, one of the books that our lovely Kirsty from the bookstore recommended in a recent one of her book of the week suggestions is actually the book the Little Tubbs got for Dave for Christmas. So you see how useful these reviews are and little tips and tricks.
Well, there you go. And it just so happens we have another one that's been sent over to us. So I think it's probably time for...
Oh, God, are we carrying this through to 2022?
Oh, you've got to, Tracy. You're so good at it.
Oh, man, it's time for Book of the Week, 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 Book of the Week.
Yay!
I really think we need a new song, but let's see.
We probably do, actually, yes.
God.
Well, this actually hasn't been sent over by the lovely Kirsty at the English Bookstore. It's been sent over by Jeanette Winterson, who has also been working over there. No, sorry, the author is Jeanette Winterson. Wakey.
This could go horribly wrong. Start over.
First one of the year. See, we take a week off and it all goes... No, I can't say that from taking a week off. It's like this every week. For those of you who've just joined us, it's like that every week.
Sad but true.
The book is Why Be Happy When You Could Be Normal?
Ah, now.
Very interesting. It's published after Oranges Are Not the Only Fruit. I think that was made into a film, wasn't it?
I never heard of it, I must admit.
I believe so. This is an autobiographical novel. In the story, it's following the fragmented but consistent narrative that the author tells of her life story of being adopted by her step-parents, growing up in a conservative Christian family with a lesbian identity and studying English at Oxford University. As a working class female student who was obsessed with literature. Apparently it's quite a painful but brave and tender book. With sincerity, the author tries to find the answer of love, how we can face life and embrace love when we know the nature of love is unreliable. So I think this is probably quite a deep read, actually. But undoubtedly it's a book that can accompany you to reflect on the traumas of childhood, the sufferings of life, and the various ultimate issues of love, family, and loneliness. So if you fancy something that's a little grittier, shall we say, then this could be the book for you. But as always, pop down to the English Bookstore in Maastricht.
Yes.
You will find any book at all that you need. They'll order it for you if they haven't got it, but go down, have a chat with them. Make an appointment first, because obviously you can't just wander in at the moment. You do have to make an appointment. But if you follow them on socials, they are constantly posting all kinds of various different books, all different genres, different for different age groups, and I'm sure they will get you inspired. So that was the English Bookstore in Maastricht's recommendation of the week.
Very nice. And by the way, speaking of the English Bookstore, stay around and stay tuned for the TVVDs at the end of the show, because there might just be another book themed tip.
Oh, okay.
There you go.
Well, of course, this is also something that people make New Year's resolutions for, isn't it? To read more books.
Well, I think so. Well, actually, in general, I think it's good. It's one of these funny things, isn't it? I know a lot of people who love reading, and they're just avid readers. They'll read every kind of a thing. They always have a book. Currently, I'm reading 2 different books, so that's how it goes. And then there's other people who just don't enjoy reading at all. So
no, that's true.
I think if you could have a New Year's resolution, try to instill in your children or your other half a love of books. It's never too late.
No, absolutely. I think to go through waves. I sort of I have the concentration for full-on books, and then I sort of waver, and then I prefer to be watching a bit of telly. But of course, there's so many books these days that are made into either TV dramas or big Hollywood films, of course.
Yeah, that's true. Although often the book is usually, it sometimes can be better. There are some adaptations that have been done very well. But usually, generally, the feeling is that the book was better. Yeah,
that's very true. That's very true. Well, we'd love to hear what books you've been reading over Christmas. Were you finding time to snuggle up on the sofa and open a big fat book that got you through the holiday season? And what about your New Year's resolutions? We'd still love to hear what you're planning on taking up in January. And hopefully you'll be able to stick through till February. Well, we're going to have a young lady with us later on in the programme who's going to give us some tips on how to do that. The lovely Eloisa from Eloisa Yoga is going to be joining us in a little while, and maybe showing us some moves that we can practice that'll get us inspired. Do you feel bendy tonight, Tracey?
Well, I'm a yogi in any case, so I may not have been over Christmas time, but I like to think I still have the the moves. So I've got my yoga mat and everything. So
not too much Christmas pudding over Christmas time.
No, actually, I didn't have any Christmas pudding. I'm not a fan of Christmas pudding, I'm afraid. No, mince pies. That's my weakness.
And you make a very fine mince pie as well.
Thank you so much. They were very well consumed, I must say.
Virginia's with us this evening. Hello, Virginia. Lovely to have you with us. Shlomo's with us, and Anya as well. Hello. Lovely to have you with us. Happy New Year. I think it's probably time, actually, as you've joined us, to maybe relax a little bit, slow down, put our feet up, have a glass of wine. Cheers.
I take it that neither of us are doing dry January then.
What's that then? Moving swiftly on. Actually, no, I'm not going to. I just want to say this before we move on. I learned that it's gone from dry January to veganuary. I think it is.
Veganuary.
Veganuary. There you go.
You're vegan for the month.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That would be fun. Well, I mean, I must admit, I am vegetarian.
Yes.
And I find that diet quite an easy one to follow, but I have to admit, I think I would struggle a bit with veganism.
Cheese.
Yeah, well, cheese for me is something. There is a lot of vegan chocolate out there, so at least I could still have some chocolate. But I love an eggs from time to time. So it is trickier.
I've had your quiche. It's very nice.
There you go. Yes, then
you can't make a quiche without breaking several eggs.
Well, that's also the case, you see. I mean, it's a tough one. Even making my mince pie pastry, that requires pastry. It's a tough one. So I'll stick with the vegetarianism for now, and see how that goes.
Yes, and I need to get inspired with some very interesting vegan recipes. If I see one that I'm like, I could go without meat. That's fine. But yeah, it's the cheese thing. I think the cheese is the issue for me for sure. Anyway, let's relax. Let's put our feet up. Let's slow down a little bit. Let's not worry about vegan cheese because it is time for This Day in History. Oh, angelic. And today it is January the 6th, 2022.
It is already.
I can't say it's nearly Christmas.
Well, there's only 300 and what?
But
it's not. It'll come around quick.
It's nearly spring though. I've already noticed the difference from the 21st of December to today, actually, when it comes to feeding the goats, which I do just before the sun goes down. I've noticed the difference already, which is great. But on this day in 1681, the first recorded boxing match is engineered by Christopher Monk and the second Duke of Albemarle. It was between Monk's butler and Albemarle's butcher.
Okay.
I don't know how they got to that point that they decided, those two are going to fight. But that was the first organised boxing match. Bizarre. In 1838, on this very day, Samuel Morse and Alfred Vail demonstrate their telegraph machine in New Jersey. And I think the clue is in the name, Samuel Morse. That gives the game away.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about Morse code, to be honest with you. I don't understand it. 1903, the Dutch Press Museum opens in Amsterdam. And in 1926, Kees Boek opens the first comprehensive school in the Netherlands. In 1946, on this very day, Vietnam holds its first ever general election. And in 1968, Dr. N.E. Shumway performs the first US adult cardiac transplant operation. A few years later, in 1974, the UK begins a 3-day work week during the energy crisis. And in that very same year, in response to the energy crisis, daylight saving time commences nearly 4 months early in the US. The following year, in 1975, on this day, 1,000 Led Zeppelin fans were waiting outside a lobby in the Boston Gardens for tickets to the group's February the 4th gig to go on sale. They caused a riot and an estimated $30,000 worth of damage was caused.
Rock bands.
Hooligans. 1979, on this very day, the Village People's YMCA becomes their only UK #1 single. At its peak, it sold over 150,000 copies a day. I can tell you, I was not one of them.
No, I also didn't buy a copy.
And I do remember for many, many years, that was always played at the end of the night at clubs that you went to.
I also remember, didn't that get played at weddings as well?
Probably, yes.
To get people out on the dance floor. Gosh almighty.
Yes. I mean, it's quite sad now, isn't it, really? Well, we've just done it now, haven't we? You can't help
we have.
Yeah, we have. Yes, okay. Let's move swiftly on. In 1993, on this very day, Bill Wyman announces he will leave the Rolling Stones.
Oh,
You know, that is a long time ago now, actually. That's like nearly 30 years ago. And it doesn't seem, I remember when it was announced, it doesn't seem that long ago, but that was a long time ago. But it'll always be connected with the Rolling Stones. And finally, on this day in 2019, a giant bluefin tuna was sold for $3.1 million to a Tokyo Toshoyu fish, from Tokyo Toshoyu Fish Market, and it was bought by a sushi restaurant. The owner is Kiyoshi Kimura, not that that's relevant, but he was using it obviously for sushi in his restaurant. But $3.1 million.
Yeah, indeed. It's quite a common thing, I believe, over there. There's like these biddings and auctions and everything. I feel sorry for the tuna fishes though.
Well, yeah, especially so they don't get any of that money. They've been sold for over $3 million and they don't get to see any of it.
Yes, well.
That's ridiculous amount of money. How much do you have to pay to get sushi?
I tell you, probably quite a lot.
Yes, that's ridiculous. I mean, I know they're quite big fish, but even so, that's just crazy. Birthdays. On this very day, 1946, Syd Barrett, the English guitarist and first vocalist of the band Pink Floyd, was born. In 1953, Malcolm Young, the Scottish guitarist from AC/DC, was born. And also on this very day, Rowan Atkinson, in 1955, best known as Mr. Bean and my favourite, Blackadder. And 1960... in 1960, on this day, Nigella Lawson, the celebrity chef and writer, was born in London, in England. And finally, in 1982, oh God, it makes me feel old, Eddie Redmayne, the English actor known for The Other Berlin Girl and The Theory of Everything, was born in London. And that was this day in history. Thank you. Okay. Adam's in the house. Good evening, Adam. He says he has a copy of YMCA on 45 RPM. For those younger viewers out there, that is actually a vinyl record.
Joe, you don't need to say this. Vinyl is back. I'm telling
the singles.
No, really. Vinyl singers. Oh, just like the mittens, it's all coming around again. So I even had my record player out over the Christmas holidays. So yes, and I've got a 40.
Well, that's good to hear. But I knew that the albums were back, but I didn't realise they were still producing singles.
Well, I'm not sure if they're still producing them, but people are buying them. You know, you can still get them. I've got a fabulous bunch of Sean Cassidy. We love him. Anyways, yeah, come on, everybody, get down and get it. You know?
Yeah. Oh, yes, I know. There's a lot of women of a certain age that will know that as well. You're showing your age there, Tracy.
No, I remember him from the Hardy Boys when he was in that with Parker Stevenson. Oh,
yeah.
So
yes, he definitely.
Anyway, I bet you Adam's glad he joined now.
See, he's talking about his single, which is from back in the day, from Days of Yore.
Days of Yore, there they are.
Well, let's talk about Days of Present, shall we? Because I think it's probably time for the news.
Well, 8:32 p.m. Central European Time. I think you're right.
Tracey Taylor with the news.
Thank you, Joe, and good evening, everyone. It's January 6th, and you're watching the Maastricht edition on Facebook Live. First, a look at your weekend weather, and it will remain unsettled over the coming days with a mix of sunny spells, cloud, hailstone, and the chance of snow. Daytime temperatures will reach 6 degrees, but will drop to freezing at night. There is also a chance of slippery conditions, so do be careful if you are out and about. And given how cold it will be over the coming days, as of tonight, the GGD Zout-Limburg will be making free sleeping places available for any homeless people. Moving to your news bulletin for tonight. Due to uncertainties about the important characteristics of the Omicron variant, the Dutch outbreak management team is not in favour of a quick relaxation of the current COVID-19 measures, apart from the reopening of schools. For the time being, it seems experts estimate that further room to relax measures is expected at the end of January. The OMT will further discuss tomorrow. In a survey by Hart van Nederland, 62% of residents in the Netherlands favour implementing the stricter 2G coronavirus access policy so that the lockdown can be lifted. In terms of implementing the policies, the options on the survey include everywhere, in the catering industry and at events. In the MEC Maastricht, a booster vaccination can be obtained as of Saturday without the need for an appointment. Therefore, anyone can walk in without an appointment, provided that the last vaccination or cure of corona was at least 3 months ago. The location is open daily between 8 a.m. and 4 p.m, but the GGD does warn of possible waiting times. Travellers from the Netherlands heading to England will no longer have to show a negative coronavirus test to travel, under new rules introduced today. And from Sunday, people will no longer have to take a PCR test after being in the country for 2 days, although a cheaper lateral flow test will remain a requirement. Travellers from the United Kingdom coming to the Netherlands must still provide a negative PCR test, however, and go into quarantine for at least 5 days upon their return. Tattoo parlors across the European Union are reported to be in crisis as a new rule came into force which bans many of their more popular inks. Tattoo artists say that the alternatives to the banned ink do not yet exist or are in short supply. The new law deals a blow to an industry already reeling after repeated lockdowns. In other news, and here in Limburg, it seems that the most popular boy's name in 2021 was Noah, with Emma being the most popular girl's name. And according to a recent study, people in the Netherlands like to enjoy an alcoholic beverage pretty regularly, drinking an average of 112 days out of the year. Only the French and the New Zealanders drink more regularly. And finally tonight, a dog has saved a hiker injured in the Croatian mountains by lying on top of him for 13 hours until they were rescued. The dog, an 8-month-old Alaskan Malamute called North, saved the hiker by curling around him and keeping him warm. And that's it for tonight. For more local news, you can follow RTV News in English on Facebook and Instagram. If you're a local business, be sure to check out the Support Your Local Business South Limburg Facebook page, a joint initiative between #Maastricht and the Maastricht Edition. And if you want to discover events, concerts and cultural activities going on in Maastricht and the surrounding areas, head on over to the website of our partner, Maastrichter.com. If a historical walking tour is more your thing, then check out Meet Maastricht, the key to your city. And finally, don't forget that you can always find us on the Maastricht Edition Facebook page, on YouTube, on Redbubble, and on Instagram. For all the details, check out the maastrichtedition.nl.
Oh, nicely done, our Tracey.
Thank you, darling.
Finishing up with a lovely, fluffy dog story.
I mean, there you go. I just so nice. Just goes to show that dogs are super cool.
Oh, and we do love an Alaskan dog as well. Those I was very, very lucky when we went to Alaska to go sledding with a load of Alaskan sledding dogs, and gorgeous.
Yes, they are lovely. So once again, just proving that the animal kingdom is far superior than the human race, really. But there we go. Hurrah for the dogs. Absolutely.
Now, just picking up on your booster story there, I did get my booster on Saturday.
Oh, okay.
So that was first, New Year's Day. Off to get me booster at 11 o'clock, but ho ho. But I did feel a bit poorly on Sunday. I was, I did have some muscle ache and headache and stuff. So my immune system was obviously doing what it was supposed to do, which is good. So I was a bit poorly on Sunday, but by Monday I was fine again. And I was going to say somersaulting around the room, but probably not, because I don't normally do that anyway. But
we get what you mean. So back faring fit once again.
But what we really need to be doing, of course, this time of the year is getting bendy, I think. And the lovely Eloisa from Eloisa Yoga is joining us this evening. And she's going to be giving us some hot tips on how to get bendy in her new studio. So we're just trying to get her in on the call now. Hopefully she's going to be joining us. There she is! Hello, Eloisa. Welcome to the Maastricht Edition. Oh, we can't hear you. Oh, hold on a second. You're on mute.
Oh, God, there's that phrase again. I thought we'd left that behind in 2021 as well.
Oh, dear.
I know. Apparently is one of the most common phrases said during last year, actually. You're on mute.
You're on mute, yes.
We can't see you.
Well, we can definitely see her, that's for sure. But, yeah.
Can
Yes.
you hear me now?
We can hear you now. Lovely.
Super.
At last.
Okay,
Thank
great.
goodness for that. Hello
Great.
and Happy New Year.
Yeah. Happy New Year.
Lovely
Hello,
to have
hello.
you with us. You're going to be talking to us about all things yoga this evening, but let's have a chat about you, Eloisa, because I have a suspicion, as your name will tell us, that you're not actually a Dutch local. So how did you end up in Maastricht?
No, I'm not a Dutch local. I'm actually from Venezuela, from South America. I ended up in Maastricht because I moved out of my country. The political situation there is not really good. And well, I started to practice this Ashtanga Yoga. I went to India to study with the teachers there. And
Wow.
on my first trip to India, yeah, on my first trip to India, things in Venezuela got really bad. So I decided I wasn't gonna come back, and I came straight to Europe. I ended up in Spain at the beginning because I'm half Spanish and I have some family and friends there. So I went to live in Barcelona, and I was living there for a year or so. And some friends knew that I practiced yoga for some time and that I had been to India. So I started to teach yoga there. They wanted to have some classes, and I started to teach them. Then I moved to Poland, to Germany, back to Spain, and well, I was like going back every year to learn yoga in India, study with my teacher, practice with my teacher, and coming back to Europe to teach in different schools. Yeah, because the yoga that I practice, Ashtanga Yoga, the Mysore style, it's the traditional way in which this yoga is practiced in India. So there are some schools that teach Mysore style here in Europe that search for authorized teachers like me from the school in Mysore, India. And so I was coming to Europe to teach and then going back to India to study, and one thing and the other brought me here to the Netherlands, to the Mysore program in Yoga Place in Maastricht. Yeah, and well, then pandemic came.
Now you're not traveling at all.
Location in Maastricht, and yeah.
My goodness, I mean, that's certainly trotting around the globe for sure. Now, we'll certainly talk more about the yoga side of things, but I'm fascinated to find out how you found the different cultures, because obviously Venezuela is a lot different to India, and India and Venezuela are a lot different to Europe. So how did you find living in these different cultures?
Well, it really opened my mind in a way that it showed me that things are not always as I thought they were. I got to know a lot of different people with a lot of different mentalities and a lot of different lifestyles. So it really gave me acceptance of external reality as it is. I think that's what I got the most from traveling. Like it helped me understand that my own ideas of the world and even my own ideas of myself, they are just in my head. They are just a construct that is in my head, and it helped me to interact much better with others because it helps me to understand them better.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Nice. Hola, Eloisa. Buenos tardes. I'm going to try and do my Spanish. Hola.
Buenas tardes.
Buenas tardes.
I wanted to
Spanish. Yes, I know. Can you imagine? I wanted to come back to you a little bit about the yoga, as Joe mentioned, and you're doing the discipline of Ashtanga. Is there a particular reason why you were drawn to this discipline of yoga? Because there are so many options. Is it because of the studies in India, or was there a particular draw to that particular style for you?
Yeah, well, I started practicing different styles based in Vinyasa, which comes from Ashtanga, like all the Vinyasa styles comes from Ashtanga. And I had one of my best friends, she used to practice yoga since she was 15. So she started to go to India when she was like super young, and she brought the Ashtanga Yoga Mysore style to Venezuela. And in the Ashtanga Yoga Mysore style, it's a bit different than a guided class. So when you enter a Mysore room, you are not actually following a teacher who is leading in the classroom.
Okay.
So it's not like I am like, okay, now everyone raise their hands and now everyone do this and everyone do that. You learn the sequence of Ashtanga, and this sequence adapts to the particular needs of everyone. So it's a practice that has like a sort of intelligence to itself. It's built up around the pattern of Surya Namaskara, and it has different poses. And these poses are connected by what we call vinyasa, which is a piece of Surya Namaskara, which gives a lot of heat to the body. And the first time I entered a Mysore room, to be honest, I didn't like it. I was wondering, like, why are these people doing the same sequence every day? But my friend was pushing me, no, come to the practice, come to the practice, come to the practice. And when I had around 3 months practicing, I started to understand the beauty of it, the beauty of observing your body doing the same thing every day, and how the power of repetition and how it leads to the understanding of an object, in this case, my body, and what I can do with my body, and how I can move it, and how I can understand it, and how it can develop, how I can develop so much new skills with my body when I do the same every day. And then, of course, and even though it's the same sequence, my body is not the same every day. So it's a wonderful tool of observation. You get to know yourself because you're putting yourself through the same situation every day, or the same situation every day, let's say the same sequence of asanas, and you get to know, like, some days your belly's full because you ate something or another, so you get to know which kind of food affects you, how you get to know when you're sad, why, when you're happy, why. You get to also, you have also the chance of looking at yourself, confronting different kinds of situations, because this is what an asana is, a yoga pose. This is what an asana is. It's a situation. So since you have to do all the poses every day, like let's say you don't skip poses, there are difficult ones and there are easy ones.
Could you maybe give us an example?
Some of them you like of a pose?
Yeah.
A hard one or an easy one?
Well, you do the hard one and we'll do an easy one.
Okay. So an example would be, let's see, from the primary series of Ashtanga, we have Marichasana D, which is the one that everyone hates because it's very difficult to enter at the beginning and it takes a lot of time to achieve. And that one goes like this. You have to do this, put your hand here, and then you have to bind the hands.
Oh my goodness.
For most people, binding the hands it's difficult. For some people, it's easy, of course, depending on your type of body.
But how long would you stay in that pose then? Is that for a few seconds or for a minute?
Okay, so each pose in the Ashtanga sequence is held for 5 breaths, right?
Oh, okay.
You hold each pose for 5 breaths, and in between each pose, you do a transition, which is a piece of Surya Namaskara, that is the pattern I was talking about at the beginning, the Sun Salutation. You know the Sun Salutation?
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Oh, I do. Joe.
Yeah.
I was trying to be nice so that she would teach everybody who's watching.
I can show you.
Please.
Okay. So the Sun Salutation goes like this. I don't know if you put it like this. First you inhale, you lift your hands up, you look at your thumbs. Then you exhale, bend forward to the legs. Then you inhale and you lengthen your spine, and then on the exhalation you jump back. And you can stay here if you're starting. You can also go to a little lower plank or chaturanga. Then you inhale, upward facing dog, Urdhva Mukha Svanasana. And then exhale, downward facing dog or Adho Mukha Svanasana. You hold this one for 5 breaths. And then you inhale, return to your hands, lengthen the spine, Exhale, bend to the left. Inhale, lift the hands up. And exhale, back to Samasthiti. Right?
Fantastic.
I recognize this. I haven't tried Ashtanga discipline myself, but I have tried Vinyasa, Yin Yoga, and Hatha Yoga. And in Hatha Yoga, the regular class, we would do the Sun Salutation quite regularly as a warm up or something. So really nice. But I always heard that Ashtanga was one of the more tougher ones to do, also quite for energy, that it was really a tough workout, but it's maybe something to consider.
Okay.
So
that's a myth.
I was just wondering,
it depends, because if you
No, I was just going to say that you were talking about you have these different poses to do, and there's a sequence that you repeat every day or every couple of days, however many times. But how many poses are there? I mean, can you add to this sequence, or do you like after a month throw that sequence out and bring in a new sequence with different poses? How does that work? Because the idea of having to do the same thing over and over again, I could appreciate maybe some people might think, oh, that's going to get a bit boring.
Yeah. Well, okay, so I'm going to answer to you, and I'm going to merge it with the answer to the question that Tracey just asked.
Okay.
So in the Ashtanga Yoga Mysore class, which is a self-practice, you learn the sequence of Ashtanga step by step, right? So first you learn Surya Namaskaras. And of course, if you are a person who don't have any experience with physical activities before, then everything will be adapted to your own particular needs, because the teacher is one-on-one with you, while the rest of the practitioners is doing their thing. So the teacher goes practitioner from practitioner, adapting, modifying the sequence, conversing with the student and checking what they need, what is good for them at that moment. So you first learn the Sun Salutation A, and there is thousands of modifications for the Sun Salutation A for all kinds of people. And you repeat it many times till you memorize it. Then you learn the Sun Salutation B with the necessary modifications, repeat it. Yeah, and each day you learn a little part of the sequence, right? So in this way, the sequence evolves. And then when your sequence becomes too long, then the first part of the sequence is cut, and then you keep adding. Because there are many series. There is the primary series, there is intermediate series, advanced series, and then what you experience in a yoga studio when there is Ashtanga guided classes, it's only a half or a little part, even a quarter of the primary series of Ashtanga. So the sequence is super long. It's really, really long, and there is plenty to have fun for.
Well, we're getting loads of messages come through here on social media. We have Anya says, I'm only good at Savashanya.
I think it's I think you mean Savasana.
Savasana. Oh, she's put an H in there. Or is it a silent H?
Savasana. That's when you just lie down.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, I hear you. And Shivo says there's enough for a lifetime, apparently.
Of course, absolutely.
So if people want to get in contact with you, who want to check out these processes and how to do Ashtanga Yoga, how do they get hold of you?
Well, right now I'm teaching in Maastricht. We call our place, we call it the New Shala. So you can find it on Google by the New Shala Maastricht or Eloisa Yoga. The website is yogaeloisa.com. Currently I'm teaching online, but I cannot have beginners in the online classes because I need to work in person with beginners. So I would need to open a beginner's course. Our classes, the Mysore classes, are suitable for all all kinds of practitioners, like new people to yoga, people with experience, people with zero experience. If you come to the Mysore class, that's perfect because we start taking in account all your needs.
Excellent.
And then, hopefully when we open again, then I can have new people.
Fantastic. Well, we should put all of your contact details onto our social media at the end of the show. So thank you so much for joining us, Eloisa, and thank you for giving us a demonstration there.
Thank you.
I have no doubt as soon as we finish tonight, Tracey's probably going to be doing some practicing in the background there. She loves getting bendy, does our Tracey?
I do. Eloisa, muchas gracias.
Thank you so much for joining us tonight, Eloisa.
Muchísimas gracias a ti.
Take care now and Happy New Year to you. Bye.
Bye.
Oh, bless you.
Apologies for the feedback and delay there. We had a little.
Yeah, it was quite long, the delay, actually, wasn't it?
Yeah,
So it was a little bit confusing, but we got there in the end, and that was a lovely demonstration from her.
Very, very nice. Yes, the Ashtanga is indeed the series. It's a very interesting. I've read a little bit about it, and very fascinating. And indeed, it's the idea of the repetition, I believe, that sort of quiets the mind and trains the body. And routine can often be a very good thing. So really interesting. So let's hope that Eloisa can open a studio in real life soon and have some beginners join for an Ashtanga class.
Yes, absolutely. Now, something that the rest of us could be doing if we want to is learning some history about the lovely city of Maastricht. And who better to tell us than lovely Lucy from Meet Maastricht. So here we are with the first of 2022's instalment of our 5-minute history of Maastricht from Lucy. Here she is.
Hello. Back again for your weekly wander around town. Albeit a very, very quick, short, brief, small one. I thought I'd take you to Wiek, the other side of the river, for a bit. For quite a long time, the stretch from the river to the station has been called the Percée, which sounds elegantly French, which it is, of course. But it is easy to remember because of the similarity of the French word percer to the English word verb, to pierce. It amounts to the same thing, really. What the percer is a sort of demolishment of a medieval town and replacing it by 19th century bourgeois splendor. You have to imagine Maastricht very late into the 19th century, totally cooped up within the walls. And the walls is not just a wall straight up and some turrets and some gates. No, the fortifications of Maastricht, like any other fortified town, would extend over hundreds of meters. There would be, the wall and the moat, and then structure this and counter structure that, and more moats and things, and it would go on forever. It would take up lots of space, and in the 19th century it became increasingly clear that that was no longer a viable way of waging war. Not that waging war was abolished, as we all well know. Within those walls, Wiek was very, very cramped medieval style. When you came across the bridge, there was no view like you have today. You would walk into a very narrow street and come up against a row of buildings across it. So to get from the river to the gate going out to the east, you had to wander about Wiek for quite some time, and then you had to weave your way through the fortifications because the military authorities would not allow anything straight and easy. Too helpful for conquerors, so we don't do that. fixing this situation, making a straight, wide, pleasant, easy connection between the river and the wall took decades of haggling. Eventually, the military and national authorities relented, and it was allowed for a gate to be built, allowing access at any rate. But 2 years later, the fortifications were abolished outright. Then the wrangling about where the station was going to, the central station was going to be, continued for several more decades. And Maastricht, having loads of little stations of separate little lines going in all directions, basically except in the direction of Holland. So it took a very, very long time for that to be resolved. And in the meantime, the haggling was going on about what was going to be done about this cute medieval mishmash within the wall. And that is how the percée eventually came about. You know, the first one was breaking through the wall, and then in the decades after that, okay, we will make a boulevard type street from the river to the station, which, if the fates allow, will eventually be there. And of course, that is what eventually happened. The Maastricht authorities, from the very beginning, insisted on this percée to be for the well-to-do, to be for the bourgeoisie, for the people of standing. And that's what it looks like. And I think the saving grace has been that all those years it has been a very lively street as well. Because people would like to, if they could afford it, only the rich could afford it, if they could afford to live there, quite a few of those who could also appreciated the street for its commercial value, it being such a thoroughfare. Of course, you'd want your business there. And there were quite a few. If you go and take a stroll now, you can see there are still quite a few there now. Happy walking.
Lucy from Meet Maastricht. If you fancy a tour of the city, drop her a line. She'll take you for a wander. She knows everything. Absolutely.
She does. Wear good walking shoes. She might promise you a 2-hour walk, but it will be longer.
Yes, probably.
You'll
She's biking as well, doesn't she? She'll take you on a biking tour.
Yeah, indeed. Very nice. Cool. So so check it out and see what's keep an eye on the weather maybe. Perhaps if it's snowing, it's not much fun if you're on a bike. Feet on the ground.
Well, if you live in the Netherlands, you're just going to have to go biking in the rain. I mean, it's compulsory. It's I think if you want to get a Dutch passport, that's part of it, isn't it? Actually, that you have to go do an hour's biking in the rain, and then here you go, you can have a Dutch passport. Okay, well we are we're out of time pretty much. But before we go, let's see, Tracy, you got any titty bitties for us?
I don't have titty bitties. I've got TDBDs.
TDBDs.
From now on, it's called TDBDs. Oh, if only people could hear you, Firdaus. I have 2 TDBDs for you this evening. 2 really good ones, if I can say so myself. First of all, I mentioned it earlier, referring back to Kirsty and the lovely folks at the English Language Bookstore. They have a very neat offer on at the moment. The Reader's Roulette bag.
Ooh.
Now, you go in or you go online and you choose a genre, for example, horror, travel, romance, fantasy, and for just €10, you get a surprise bag full of 3 second-hand books of that genre.
Oh, cool!
Isn't that really cool? I think this is a really good idea. My only worry is if I choose, for example, I don't know, crime, I'm going to have all the books downstairs because I have so many books. But maybe I can check with Kirsty and kind of suss out what might be in there. But a really neat idea, and especially kind of a fun thing. So if you're into, fantasy fiction is quite an interesting one at the moment. You'll get 3, and there's secondhand books, which I think is fabulous because I think all books secondhand deserve a second home and a second chance to be read and loved. So, hurrah. The second one, and this is one I'm hoping to do myself this weekend as well, if I don't pop by the English bookstore. If the weather is nice, the winter garden at Maastricht is open. Now, Maris Maastricht is actually closed, obviously, but their winter garden is open, and you can get into the garden for free up until this Sunday. And so it's open tomorrow, Saturday and Sunday from 12 until 5 p.m. And once you're there, you can have a wander about the winter garden, very beautiful. You can enjoy a hot chocolate and a homemade waffle outside. How nice is that? And this is the cool bit. For just €1.50, you can buy 2 bulbs, one of which you can plant yourself in the winter garden at Maris Maastricht, and the other you can bring home and plant in your own garden. It's a lovely idea. So thanks for the email, notification on that one, guys. So this is a really cool one. So if you're around this weekend, and indeed if it's not really horrible weather, this can be a nice thing to do for an hour or two.
That sounds very nice. Do you happen to know if they're tulip bulbs?
I'm not sure if they're tulip bulbs, but it would make kind of sense because now is the time for tulips, right?
Because I happen to have here a lovely bowl of tulips that was sent to me by our Tracey because it was my birthday a couple of days ago.
Oh, they are very pretty.
They are, aren't they? I just put this over without pouring water all over my keyboard.
Try not to electrocute yourself, dear. It's not a good look.
Are they lovely?
Oh, they're very pretty. Well, it is the season and it is the country for tulips, so very good. And you had a good birthday then. I know we're birthday people in December, January. We're bookmarking the Christmas holiday, aren't we?
we certainly are, yes. So I had a birthday. Let's just say that, and it was made a lot brighter by having these tulips. So thank you very much. They're absolutely gorgeous.
They look fabulous with that beautiful painting you have behind you as well.
It just so happens that there are tulips in the painting. Without actually pouring water everywhere, there's some tulips here, actually.
There you go. My goodness.
How very apt. Anyway, we can't keep waffling on. We've got to go, Tracey.
We do. It's time, dear. It's 9:10. It's past my bedtime.
So a big thank you to Eloisa who joined us this evening from Eloisa Yoga. We will be putting all her contact details on our social media after the show. So if you fancy getting bendy, get in contact with Eloisa. We shall be back next week. Watch out for the weather. It is a bit nippy out there, so keep wrapped up if you are going out and about, and keep safe, keep healthy, and we shall see you again next Thursday. Thanks ever so much for joining us. We'll see you then.
Thanks for joining.
Take care. Bye.
Buy yourself some fingerless mittens.